That was a pretty nice bio. It's kind of amazing what AI can do. All right, I wrote it myself. So thank you all so much for being here today. And of course, thanks to Open Air for giving me and my fellow residents this opportunity. What a remarkable time. Thanks to Christine and Alona, you guys have been the best. And the good folks at the Butte Archives. We've had so much support here in our month here. It made me feel obligated to produce. And I did, got a lot of painting done. So when I first heard that I had been awarded this residency, I would say my reaction fell somewhere on that spectrum between panic and outright terror. You know, this ginormous question was looming. What now? And to be honest, the first few days I really did have a lot of false starts. I mean, there were sort of fits and starts, spun my wheels, whatever other trite expressions you want to throw in there. It took me a while to get my feet under me until I made a decision here, which was an unusual decision for me. So Butte is a mining town. I know that's not news to most of you. Butte is a mining town. So I decided what was important for me was to spend this month doing some really deep internal mining for myself. And that was an interesting experience. So when ever you undertake some kind of mining event, you have to usually dig through a lot of overburden before you get to those precious minerals, gems, whatever you're looking for that lie underneath. Sometimes that cover rock is pretty benign, and sometimes, like in Butte, there are toxins pretty much in every phase of the mining operation. So I was doing some pretty deep internal mining, and the good news is I found some valuable ore underneath. That would have been disappointing if I'd come up empty, dry well. The other good news is I think my personal overburden was, I would say it had some contamination, but not direct toxicity. Okay, so I think that was a pretty good range. Nothing that would qualify it to be listed on the federal Superfund side. You know, one of the many things I like about Butte, you can say Superfund here, and you don't have to explain. Everybody knows Superfund. So it was an interesting experience for me to do that. And I have to say, you know, part of that overburden, I honestly had some insecurities I didn't realize I had for about a couple of different things. I mean, number one, I'm a guy. Number two, I'm old. Number three, I have not been painting all that long. Number four, I'm surrounded by other residents who've been doing this kind of thing much longer than me, have amazing talent and skills. I'm in a community that has a very vibrant art scene. So I'm still relatively new at this, and I had to adjust to that, all those things. And I did eventually, and I still feel good about it. So I will have to say that leading a solitary life, not talking all that much, being contemplative, those aren't things that come naturally to me. It's kind of a spoiler alert, I am a guy, and you know, I have all those benefits and liabilities that come with that accident of birth. So I was at a gathering one time, it was a party, and we had this experiment, and if we had more time, I would ask all of you to do this too, but I just don't think we have time today. But the game was we had to describe who we are in 6 words. No more, no less. Has anybody ever played that game before? It's a pretty cool exercise. We each had 5 minutes, so we came up with this thing. I think my explanation, or my 6 words were always in, because at the time I was working and I liked to be accessible to everybody. A pro, because despite all my joking, I was pretty good at my job at the time. And pre-it, because I was always trying to anticipate the next crisis that was coming my way. But the real reason why I chose those 3 two-letter words was if you say them together, it comes out always inappropriate. And I think that is a great description for me, except it's 2 words, so I couldn't use it. So I had to look it up. But there was a woman who's at this place, and I have a great deal of respect for her, which is good because I'm married to her. And she said, my greatest adventures have been interior. And I thought at the time, how weird is that? But it always takes me a while to catch up to my wife's wisdom. And here, this last month, I've been on an incredible adventure, and it turns out it's been deeply interior for me. So you're right along. By the way, this is my wife, Sally. She came all the way from Missoula. Thank you for being here. I also have a friend, Colleen, who came from Helena, and appreciate your coming. And then we've got dear friend Asaias and his son Nebi. And in the few years that we've known them, their family, there are 4 more of them that couldn't make it today. They've become such dear friends, some of our dearest friends on earth. So thank you for being here. It's really great to see you. So went to a book signing by a friend of mine recently, and his name is Gary Hawk. And he wrote this series of contemplative essays about his 20 years of kayaking on Flathead Lake. It's called Into This Radiance. I highly recommend this book to people. It's just a lovely, lovely, insightful, life-changing read it was for me. So someone asked him at the reading, they said, how did you manage to stay so present to the lake and all the gifts that it had to offer you? And he responded with what has become my new favorite quote. He said, the trick is to stay radically open and to be as devoid of ego as humanly possible. It's great advice. It's hard to do, but it's really wonderful advice. I was at a talk recently, earlier this week, by another artist who was an open air resident a year ago, also in the Clark Fork Valley. And one of the things he said was there is this grove of cottonwood trees he would look at every day out his window. And he said, I realized that there is a whole universe contained within this grove of cottonwood trees, which I thought was brilliant. He says he couldn't see it until he, as he put it, he emptied himself out. And then he was open to everything that was coming at him. And he felt much better about it after that. So I kind of rephrased him. The way I translated it is, you can't really be open to all the gifts that the universe, the environment, your friends are giving to you if you're already full of yourself, right? You have to let go of as much of that as you can to be open to everything that you're experiencing. So that's all I was shooting for this month, is emptying myself out and being as devoid of ego as possible, so I could stay radically open to whatever Butte had to offer. I didn't always succeed, but that was my goal. Several years ago, many years ago, I actually think I had an impact on Butte, and I'll talk about what I used to do briefly later. Now it was Butte's turn to have an impact on me. I had to be open to it. So a little bit about what I was trying to do with my paintings, which I'll show you in a minute. So there are 2 things I was trying to capture, one of which is beauty, because I'm a sucker for beauty, but I mean, look who I married. So beauty, particularly in places where you least expect it. And the other thing I tried to capture is a sense of irony. Some kind of twist that you just do not expect that ultimately ends up making sense. Irony is a word that's misused all the time, by the way, including by me. Give you an example. I think it was Yogi Berra that said, he said a lot of brilliant things accidentally. It's kind of an ironic statement, now that I think about He said, nobody goes to that restaurant anymore, it's way too crowded. I've always loved that quote of his. So I like to look for a sense of irony. And I'm going to give you an example of something ironic in my life that happened a while ago. Many years ago, I think it was about, I don't remember, many years ago, my son was, I think, in 4th grade, and we happened to be in Helena together. So I took my son to stop in and pay a brief visit to the director of a brand new state agency at the time. It was a result of a major reorganization, state government. It was the Department of Environmental Quality. And so he was the first director. He'd just been appointed. I think he just started the job, and I wanted to pay him a courtesy visit. I knew this guy pretty well. I used to work with him. I liked him. I disagreed with him politically over everything, but I still liked him, and we worked well together. Do you remember when we could do that? Boy, that seems like a long time ago now, doesn't it? Anyway, the moment we got into his office, my son was so rude. He's always quiet, but he was beyond just being quiet. He was sullen, he was just glaring. He would barely respond when my friend was trying to engage him in conversation. Anyway, it was sort of an awkward visit. We got out, and I pulled my son aside. I said, very politely to him, "What the hell's going on there?" So Isaac, my son, was even madder than I was. He said, "That guy was against the Clean Water Initiative," which was a hotly debated topic at the time. And he said, worse than that, he had a picture of a mine on his wall. He said, "That guy is supposed to be protecting the environment. I don't even think he likes the environment." To which I responded, "Okay, at least you had your reasons." I thought he had very good reasons. So the irony is that 10 years after that, I got appointed as director of that same organization. I became the director of the Montana Department of Environmental Quality. And now, quite a bit after that period of my life, here I am in Butte, painting, among other things, mines. So I find that very ironic. And do me a favor, please do not tell my son. He's very touchy about that kind of thing. So this past month, I've thought a lot about what draws me to art. Because I have been drawn to art, even though I'm new at it. I've been drawn to art for a very long time. And it's an important question, what draws you to art. We know on a gut level, it's very important to all of us, both to create and to experience art, right? But there's a real question about why that's so important. I'm going to say a word or two in a minute about why it's important to me, but I'd love to hear from people here about why art is so important to them. Again, both creating and experiencing. Anybody want to volunteer their thoughts on that?
Great,
thank you.
My name is Peggy Benton.
Hi, Peggy.
And I kind of go to this place every now and then and play ukulele and fun things like that. But I paint probably at least once a week.
Good.
Because your brain just turns off, and it's so cool when that happens.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It just like all of a sudden you're in a different place. But I have a million if you want me to have a show here.
Now that's actually great to hear. Very consistent with what I feel. So thank you for sharing
Yeah,
that.
and I just day before yesterday I got to try some scratch art, and that's really bizarre, and it turned out good.
I look forward to seeing it at an art show here.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm really a writer, but I used to draw and sketch a lot, and I'm going to start again, I think, this winter. But
Good.
I feel like drawing and sketching and all that stuff, it makes you observe. I used to live on the Oregon coast, and I would, charcoal draw the seals and the sea lions and everybody, the pelicans, and it makes you observe everything.
Yeah.
And it makes other people observe. They would come over and look and be just like, oh, and then they'd look back at the creature, and it makes everybody observe. If you're looking at someone's wonderful painting, like at the Louvre, I'm so upset about the Louvre, it makes you observe more.
I have an alibi.
You're here
It's
the
not
whole
me.
time.
And I'm not drawn to jewels anyway, but, no, that's great. And it didn't bother you when people came over and looked over your shoulder when you were...
No, I was kind of flattered. Like when I used to live in Portland, Oregon, I was drawing, they had really old phone booths. I was drawing their old antique phone booths. And some young guy that was an art student said, "You draw like a first-year art student." Because I told him I was a total amateur. I had taken some drawing classes just for fun, you know. And he was like, "You draw like a first-year art student." I took that as a compliment.
Nice.
I admire your creativity and your interpretation. I'm not sure I would have been as gracious as you. But I think that's great. And I think what he meant at best is you're seeing things with new eyes for the first time, which I can see that twist. Thanks. Anybody else want to weigh in? I'm glad we got volunteers because I wasn't letting anybody out of the room until we heard from at least a few people. This was going to be officially a hostage situation. Now we can keep the doors unlocked. Okay, well, anybody else? One more chance? You want to go down?
I'll chime in. So
Yeah, please.
I think having an art, coming from the other side of it, I think having an art practice is really important for lots of folks like myself. You know, I went to school for art, I studied art, but art is the lens through which I make sense of the world.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise I think it's so easy to get caught up in like being busy at work and doing all your tasks, and I think it's really, I always have like a giant to-do list in my administrative role here, but my art practice is really important to me as a way to kind of filter through everything that's going on and how I see the world and interact with the world and kind of refocus, you know, because it's easy to kind of go to work and every day be really, really busy, then one day you're like, oh, I'm 65, I'm done, what do I do now? And so
Wait till you look back on 65.
Yeah, I got a minute, but anyways, yeah, I think it's an important part of how I process, you know, and experience the world. So anyways, that's my take.
Well, and you should know, Christine is a fabulous artist. I
Mhm.
love your work. Yeah, she really is. And I really enjoy looking at your work and getting to see the work of other great members of the community like Alona. Your work is fantastic. By the way, I love the envelope. I did go look at it. Yeah. So I thought a lot about this.
Opper.
What? Oh, I'm sorry. Another-
Oh,
sorry,
I'll chime in
sorry.
on just one little thing. One of the things that I appreciate about the arts, and many of you know I can go on and on, so I'll keep it short. But one of the things that I really feel like is an essential value of the arts and art making is how it centers play, discovery, uncertainty, compassion, the spirit of not knowing and leaning into the unknown, and that there's a compassion in the process of making that I feel like is so essential. Like if all of us could capture those values and apply it to our lives in general, we would be better off for it. So.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you. I'll weigh in a little bit. I said this at a little talk I gave when we first got started, so I apologize if you guys have heard this before, but I'm really kind of obsessed with the brain now. I've been reading about it, and as I said the other day, it's probably the organ I am most obsessed with these days, which is a huge change for me, by the way. Yeah, thank you for the point. One thing you should know about me is that I'm always inappropriate. I warned you. Anyway, the brain is an amazing anticipatory machine. It's always doing what it can to draw from its experiences in order to anticipate and avoid danger in the future or to seek pleasure. So what that means is, and this kind of goes back to what you were talking about, Peggy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're spending a lot of time in, your brain is spending a lot of time in the past, it's spending a lot of time in the future anticipating. Very little of its time is spent in the present. Okay, so the present, being in the moment is so important, it's so relaxing, it's so rejuvenating, it's so open when you're in the present moment. And meditation does that for people, sports can do that for people, and for me, painting does that, like it does for you. So, and writing, yeah. There are lots of different forms. I mean, if anybody has other ways that they use to keep themselves present, speak up. Writing, you said, yeah. Okay, so let's see where we are here. I'm gonna show you some paintings shortly. Oh, one thing I was gonna mention real quickly. Winston Churchill once said that painting is the only thing he does, including sleep, that actually turns off that part of his brain that in his case was literally trying to save the world. It was the only thing he could do that relaxed him, and he would take time off and just go off in the countryside and paint. He was a very good painter. Let's see. You see that? That's one of Winston Churchill's
Wow.
paintings.
Wow.
So the guy had game, right? He wasn't bad. I mean, I could have chosen from lots of examples. That's the one I picked. So that's what painting also does for me. It helps relax me. It helps to keep me from obsessing about little things like the current destruction of our democracy, little things like that. It gives me joy. It gives me a break. So I don't know how else to affect the world right now, so I paint. I wasn't going to show this and I debated over it because this is not a serious piece of art I'm about to show, but I needed a muse, some kind of inspiration before I came, so I put a little something together before I came. Does anybody here want to volunteer who the auditor was for the uninitiated? You know who I'm talking about when I bring up the auditor?
The dog? Yes, my husband was one of the ones that fed him.
Oh.
When they had that 5-year shutdown thing, he was one of the people that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You want to explain who the auditor was for the group?
Does anybody not know the auditor here? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He was a, maybe I can't remember what type he was.
He was a mutt.
I know, but he had this long curly hair.
Pulley.
Beautiful, beautiful dog that was all by itself out at the pit. And it lived there on the, the tables and stuff. And people started noticing that the guys at the pit started feeding him, and they made him a doghouse there on the pit. And he became famous because it was 50 below, and he still lived there.
Mm.
And yeah, in fact, there's a statue of him. Isn't it in the mall?
It's at the archives.
Your archives.
It's in front of the
Yeah.
archives, the
Okay.
Auditor Dog
Yeah,
statue.
he was so cool. Very cool. Just like he owned the place, you know?
Well, yeah, they called him the auditor because he would show up unannounced. He would just appear, and then he'd be gone.
Yeah.
And he would live in an area that the soils were so toxic, sometimes they would eat the rubber off people's boots.
Oh.
They found some hair samples, tested them. He had arsenic levels 130 times normal, and he lived to be 17. So he was my inspiration. He's a good metaphor for Butte in general, because Butte's been through a lot. So I put together what I call my junior high Art 101 project. And there he is. Okay, kind of looks like him. I would love to say that no mops were damaged in the production of this piece, but that would be a blatant lie, so I hope nobody calls the ASPC. Anyway, so thank you to the auditor.
Did you paint the background, or did you put that in the front of the pit?
I actually used stuff you put on walls, mud,
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
put on walls, and I just put some coloring in it. I just slapped it
Nice.
together. And this was not an expensive project. It was fun.
Yeah.
And it looks like a dog we used to own, right, Sal? It looks just like Golda. But anyway, this dog is much better groomed than the auditor was. So my interest in Butte, my attraction to Butte didn't just start when I started my residency. I've been fascinated with it for a long time. So a year or so ago, I painted my first and probably only 2 watercolors, and they're both of Butte. And I think a lot of you will recognize this particular sign. The new Tate Hotel, this is right across from the Finland.
Right,
And
right.
I like this picture because I think there's so much irony in it, calling it new, but it's so obviously so old. And this sign has just suffered the ravages of time, and I love what time has done to this. It's got so much color and character to it. I wish time always worked that way with humans. Sometimes it does. And anyway, so I really like that. I painted another watercolor at Butte. This was, you know, typical downtown scene, but I like this scene because it's got all kinds of Butte's architecture, and it's got the classic Finland in the background. It's got this 60s crap here, which I think was, I heard from John Sesso, some of you may know him. I think that Pat Williams' parents ran a restaurant in this building here, and it has construction. Again, I did this a year or 2 ago, and I think it's the exact same scene here. I'm not sure they've made much progress on the construction. So those are 2. But so I had to paint a picture of Durant Canyon. Durant Canyon is at the tail end of Silverbow Creek. And it's just before Silverbow Creek enters into the Clark Fork. And I painted this one for a couple of reasons. One is because I think it's beautiful. It's probably more beautiful now that fall's progressed a little bit. So that's one reason. And the other reason is that I'm really proud of this particular spot. Because you see this beautiful floodplain here on either side of the creek? It's not real. We at DEQ rebuilt it during my time there, because it was very contaminated with material from Butte and Anaconda that came down during the 1908 flood. And so we had to rebuild this entire floodplain. So there was a 3-mile stretch of Durant Canyon at the end that we were in charge of. We had other segments that we rebuilt too. We forced the creek into this narrow channel packed up against the railroad burn in the canyon. We hauled out all of this soil and brought it to the town of Opportunity, Montana, and replaced it with clean soil. Carved a new channel that was meandering, revegetated it, and then we put the river back where it belonged, into the new channel. It was a lot of work, but I was really proud of the work we did. It looks pretty good, looks pretty natural there. If things go well, if things go perfectly, the river will destroy all the good work we did on the channel, and it will carve a new channel and go where it damn well wants to, because that's actually what rivers are supposed to do, and that will be a sign of success, and we'll be thrilled to see that. So that was my Durant Canyon painting that I did when I was here. I did a couple of paintings from photographs that were taken by a friend of mine, Brad Tyre. I mentioned Opportunity, Montana, the recipient of much of the toxic materials that we've had to remove from floodplains. Brad wrote this wonderful book I just finished about Opportunity, Montana. I think the name of the book is Opportunity, Montana. It's pretty easy to remember. He's good if anybody's interested. So I told him I would paint him a picture from one of his photos that he took, and this was the one he chose.
Oh.
That's pretty.
No, you went too
That's the
far.
wrong one. Okay,
You-
well, forget that one.
No, go back.
Go back.
You had it for a minute.
You had it for a sec.
Okay.
It looked like.
Okay.
Is that it?
Yeah, this is just, I like this scene because it shows sort of the coldness and isolation of the area. It shows the vastness of the valley. Obviously, it's got the Anaconda stack in it, and I think that's Mount Hagen in the background. Somebody can correct me if
I
I'm wrong
think
about
it
that.
is too, the
Okay.
tall one, yeah.
then it's official now. Peggy says it is, so it
Good
is.
place to go cross-country skiing and hiking.
Yes, it is a wonderful place. So this next one was also from a picture he took, and this was taken on what's called the slickens. There's a bone lying on this piece of ground, probably a femur from a cow, I'm guessing. And slickens, I think most of you know, in 1908 there was a huge flood that washed, thousands and thousands of tons of contaminated material into the Clark Fork River. And much of that stuff settled behind Milltown Dam in Missoula. A lot of that stuff was deposited on the floodplain in pockets here and there. And so these slickens are metal-laden dead zones where nothing was able to grow. And this picture is probably about 15 years old, and most of those slickens have been removed by my former agency, I'm glad to say. And it's a lot healthier environment now. Not completely, but a lot healthier. But this picture has this sort of eerie, scary beauty to it, at least I thought so, because the bone absorbed all this copper and took on this copper patina from it. Probably also is full of lead and arsenic and other nasty stuff, but it took on what I thought was a really beautiful color. Let's see.
So is that your favorite oil then? It looks like most of these are oils.
Yeah, I'm an oil painter,
Oh,
I should have said that.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know, there's something about acrylics that are too easy to wash up.
Oh.
I mean, was the challenge in that. So I tend to paint in oils. I just did this the other day. Yeah, there was, I think I mentioned earlier the artist in resident that said, there's a whole universe contained within that cottonwood grove that was outside his window. Well, I was hiking in this area, I think the Lion's Den, I think I got that right, that trail. And I found this puddle with these beautiful leaves of a weird color, I thought. And I thought, there's a whole universe there. I was just really drawn to this image, so I just painted that the other day. I'm in Butte. I had to do some paintings of the pit.
That turned out pretty.
This was an oil sketch. This was not meant to be a big painting of it. I did it kind of as practice for another pit painting. I'll show you in just a second. One of the things that fascinates me about Butte is all these ghost signs on the sides of buildings. They're just fascinating. They're faded and they're beautiful, and they're advertising cigarettes and beer and plumbing services and whatever you want. So I kind of played around with this, and I actually painted kind of a ghost sign there of the Anaconda Company,
Oh, cool, yeah. Now
along with its logo, because I kind of figured they left us with this mess. I think they damn well better put their name on it, so I actually made that up. That ghost sign that I put there. I don't know if you can see it very well. It's supposed to be subtle, but. Oh yeah, that's it for it. But I've got a couple more to show you. These are bigger ones. So this one I thought had a sense of irony because we spent a lot of time at DEQ talking about science. What's the best pH to use to settle out the heavy metals in the water? What are acceptable lead levels in people's yards, arsenic, all that kind of thing. So I painted this one of an approach from a picture I saw that isn't very scientific, a restoration project. I love the colors of this car, for one thing, the rust. But I found a sense of irony in it because we spent all this time debating the science, and here's some rancher, his bank was eroding, and I'll just slap the damn car aside of it. And anyway, I got a real kick out of this image somehow. It really tickled me. And I'd be very surprised if that car is still there. In fact, I think I saw it driving on 2nd Street. Okay, so.
That's pretty.
Thank you.
Nice job on the color.
Thanks, appreciate that. It's a fixer-upper. So this next one isn't my favorite painting, but it's a scene that just haunted me for some reason. It took me a while to figure out why, I'll tell you why. Does anybody know what this is? You know it?
Warm Springs Ponds.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah,
pretty.
it is. It's called the Morrell Rainbow Arch Bridge. And I just found this image so haunting. I mean, among other things, it's weird. You know, why is there a bridge, a McDonald's arched bridge, sitting in the middle of a pond on
Have you guys been there before? It's so worth your time. It's got great birds in the spring and oh, it's beautiful. And it's got a hike around there and through, and then you see this thing. It's so cool.
It's illegal to fish from the bridge, though. So, yeah, this scene just haunted me for some reason. And so I kind of figured out why in the end. I think it is a metaphor for aging, which strangely is something I think a lot more about. So you can see it's a cold, gray day. You can see the sun kind of breaking through here. It's trying, not real successfully. The light kind of reaches the hills here, but it doesn't make it as far as the bridge. The bridge is sort of trying to cast a shadow down below, but you can barely see it. This was a structure that obviously served some function. It only lasted about 2 years before Anaconda built the ponds and rendered it useless. So it's something that served a function, but no longer does. It stands idle and useless. So that's my optimistic viewpoint of aging. That is not my experience of aging, by the way. But it is for some people, I think, and that's why it haunts me. You know, just that empathy that I just feel sad for me. Thanks to say so. So this other one is an example of finding beauty where you least expect it. I was here on this reconnaissance trip just before my residency started, and I was walking through this neighborhood that was pretty desperately poor. And it's the kind of neighborhood that my new friend Terry, who is also an open air resident on the Flathead Lake, he said it's the kind of place, the kind of neighborhood where you wonder, what do their sinks look like? How many dirty dishes are in it? What do these people watch on TV? What are their lives like? How do they spend their days? And you wonder this, not out of a sense of judgment, just out of curiosity. How hard are these people's lives, and do they have hopes? Are they angry? It just begs all these questions. So I was walking through this neighborhood, and all of a sudden I came across this beautiful grove of aspen. And I walked a little farther, and they parted, and they had this head frame here. And if you're from Butte, you're probably rolling your eyes thinking, oh, great, another head frame picture. That's the last thing we need. But the trees just framed it so perfectly, and the wind was blowing just right. And does anybody want to guess what I named this particular picture?
Survival.
No, but that's a good one, though. If I painted one of the neighborhood, I would call it that.
Maybe, I don't know.
It's Butte, America.
Oh, okay.
I mean, got a flag, it's got to be Butte, America. And then my last one, I'll show you, and then I'm done, is, thank you. So this one is of the Continental Pit, the active one. We had great orientation when I first came here. And I loved painting this one. It was very slow and a lot of detail. And it's one of the more fun things I've ever painted. But I had to really change my mindset. I mean, mines are scars on the earth, right? I mean, they are terrible scars. And the scars left by the Continental Pit and by the Berkeley Pit are going to be there till the next ice age at least. And that doesn't seem imminent to me somehow. We're going to be living with this forever. And I've always seen mines and the scars they leave behind and the toxins they leave behind, and still do with the toxins, as this horrible, menacing, threatening thing. So I had to change my mindset and say, there's still some beauty in this, you know, and I tried to find that, and I tried to paint it like, almost like I was carving it, like it's a sculpture. And, you know, we have carved up mountains before. There's a mountain in South Dakota with Crazy Horse on it, and there's another one with 4 presidents on it. Thank God there's not a 5th yet. So I tried to look at this as just to see the beauty that was there despite my biases against scarring up the earth and leaving remnants like that. And that's what I've been doing last month. So, thank you.